Welcome everyone to the Project and Product Management Day 2024. My name is Stefan Ondek. I'm the managing partner and lead trainer of Potifop. We are a training and consulting company, and we are going to talk about project and product management and portfolio management and related topics today. Now let me tell you why we decided to run this event. There have been discussions going on for years. What's the relation between product management and project management, and are both necessary? If yes, how do we combine them? There are even extreme opinions like, well, you should move away from projects to just to product management, and then there are, on the other hand, opinions that, well, projects are the most important thing in the world. I don't agree with either of these, and my opinion is that we should find a way how to make this work together, and that's why we invited some experts from the areas of product management and project management and portfolio management and conflict management, because there are very often conflicts in projects and in product management, so how to deal with them. And that's how this event came to be. And it reflects also my personal experience that it's important to find a harmony, and it's also important to understand what the differences are. It even happened to me, fun fact, I was once many years ago interviewed for the position of a project manager. I was hired for the position of a project manager, but then suddenly my contract said product manager, and I was a product manager because to the company it seems it's practically the same thing. And then they were a bit unpleasantly surprised when I left after 9 months to work as a project manager elsewhere, because that's what I wanted to do. But we're still on good terms, so happy end for everyone. And to make sure there's a happy end for everyone involved, to contribute to this, we are running this event. And now, without much further ado, let me give the word to the first speaker of today, Nader K, who's going to talk about the project ecosystem. What's the place of projects within the product lifecycle? Nader, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session. That was interesting to hear about Stefan's experience being called a product manager and then leaving the company because of that. So let me share my screen with you. Here we go. Please give me a sign if you can see the screen. Okay. All right. So as Stefan said, we're going to talk about projects and products here. And my talk is about the relationship between projects and products. And to do that properly, we have to see both of them in a bigger context with the things that they interact with, because none of them make any sense without the rest. A project doesn't make sense if we don't have a product, if there's no service, if there are no benefits generated. And the same with the product. The product alone doesn't make any sense. We need to have a need for the product and use it in a certain way to give it some meaning. So let's take a look and think of an organization with an imaginary service that they will provide. What we have here is that we run as a project to build a product. Those little things there. The B square is a symbol I'm using here for projects, and that other little thing, the triangle right now, is a symbol for the products. We're going to have a big timeline here. I want to bring you in the story of projects and products here. So we run a project and create the first version of the product in this organization. And then as we go on, we usually cannot leave it like that. And by the way, I'm talking about IT projects here. So in order to make it work, we need to have ad hoc changes all the time. There will be problems, something is broken, and you have to come and fix it as soon as possible. Or there's a really small feature that you need to add in order to get something from the system. And it doesn't make sense to run a whole project just to add that simple feature. So you just do it on an ad hoc basis. And all of these together needs to have some operations effort, support, marketing, branding, sales, and a lot more. The things that I don't know enough about, but I know that they exist and they should exist. And then all of these things together have the potential to create benefits with the service that we are providing. So here, the project is something that aims to create the product, and the product is something that aims to create a service. And then we go forward, and after a while, we have an idea for another major change. So we run another project, and that project adds those extra capabilities to the product. And we go on with that. We have our ad hoc changes as usual. And again, we come up with a new idea. We run another project. And then we are really satisfied. We see that because of the latest changes we've had, our benefits are growing. We are earning a lot more money. And even our operation costs are going lower because probably some things are automated. That's great. And yet we come up with another good idea. We run another project. Things don't go well anymore. We don't know why. Sometimes we don't know because we are dealing with human perception, and that's really complicated. Sometimes we can guess, but sometimes it's just there. We see that our benefits are going down and our operation cost is going higher. We think about every possibility, and then we realize that the product we have created was really created for a really small group of users. But we've been really successful. We've scaled up a lot. So that product doesn't make sense anymore. We want to keep the service, but we really have to change the product. So we start a new one. This is a new product that's going to replace the old product, but that's for the same service. This is something that has happened to many people. I think Facebook did it, Reddit did it. So they have the same service as before, but the software that runs it is different. It's written from scratch. Because things are going very well, if you want to create something that can serve that target scale, from the beginning, it becomes so expensive that you may never succeed. So that makes sense. You start with one product, and if needed, you will replace it with another one. So here we have that. The second product is created, and after a while, we have a project here to retire the old product. So we are completely migrated our services from the old one to the new one. So again, here, what we have are different types of changes. And here we have two types of change. Major changes, structured package changes, those are done with projects. And we also have ad hoc changes. Those are done outside the projects. Each product starts with a project and usually ends with a project for being retired. And then throughout the way, we have more projects to add features, usually, but not necessarily. Okay, so we go on with the new product and hope. And here at this point, the new product has completely replaced the old one. And as usual, we will have more projects and more ad hoc changes, and hopefully we earn a lot of money. And again, we grow so much, or the environment changes so much. Maybe there are new regulations, new competition, and we decide to replace it again. So we start building a new product, and after a while, we replace the old one with this new one. Here, the old one is again completely retired. And we go on with that. Things are working, but we see that no matter what we do, we even replace the product again. We are trying many different things, but our benefits are going down and down and down. And the way it goes, it will be zero soon. Maybe there's no room for this type of service anymore. Things are not permanent. They're not supposed to be permanent. If they were supposed to be permanent, we wouldn't be here with our previously innovative idea. It was innovative because we had a new opportunity, and that opportunity may be over. Maybe people expect other things. This service is not needed. So at the end, we retire the product for the last time and we don't replace it with anything else. And like that, our service is over. So what happens here is that we have different life cycles. They interact with each other and they are in different levels of a hierarchy. In the lowest, we have the project, the smallest life cycle. And that project life cycle is a part of a product life cycle. And that product life cycle is part of a service life cycle, or at least can be part of a service life cycle that is bigger than itself. Now, I'm going to change this picture with something more schematic for the rest of the presentation. It becomes easier to explain like this. So, first of all, we need to talk about benefits. Some people think that it's easy to think about benefits within the boundaries of a project, but it's not really like that. First of all, projects do not generate benefits, okay? You should always remember that. Projects create a product. Even if we want to be precise, the product also doesn't generate benefits. The product is used in operations to create a service, and it's the service that creates benefits. So we are going higher and higher in a certain hierarchy, and all of those things together create benefits. It's not only about one of those elements. And things are complicated. Imagine, for example, that you have this really great idea and you start a company, a startup with 2 or 3 friends, and you create a product. It's, for example, a new paradigm in communication, something that can replace emails and instant messaging and everything else. And it's very privacy respecting. So that's great. You build the product and people actually like it. You start earning a lot of money. That's great. So we are talking about the benefits or value here. But imagine how much money you can make with something great you make. Now imagine that the product and service belongs to Elon Musk instead of you. All of a sudden, it generates thousands and thousands of times more benefits only because we changed the context from your small company to something related to Elon Musk. He's more famous and he has a bigger ecosystem of products and services. So it's not only about the product, it's about where the product is. Another example is, imagine that this new paradigm in communication, which is really privacy respecting, is offered in Mozilla, for example. That makes sense. They can probably earn money. But imagine the very same thing going to Google. The privacy respecting aspect of that may have a conflict with advertisement ecosystem in Google. So if you really bring it to Google, its benefits may be negative. That's how much benefits relate to other things in the organization. That's why we have to manage it from top down by considering everything. The strategies, the contracts you have with other people in really big organizations, sometimes they have agreements, certain agreements with certain powers. Maybe no one knows except for a few executives. Those things count. Now, another thing. Many years, I think it was about 20 years ago, by that time, I had written multiple books in my mother tongue, Persian, and I was earning a good amount of money from them. The royalties were really good. But I wrote a book and I really liked it. It was about breaking down the product of the project. But the book was too small to be published on paper. They have a minimum number of pages you have to meet. So basically what happens in traditional publishing is that you add something related to the main message, enough to reach that limit. But I really didn't want to do that. I wanted the book to be straightforward and only talk about the things it wants to. So I published the book as an ebook. I did it myself, and it worked well. I liked it. So I published another book. That also worked well. And I soon realized that the benefits that I can get from doing it myself as an ebook was a lot more than working with a traditional publisher. And by more, I don't mean twice or 3 times. It was like 50 times more. It was great. So all the books I wrote after that were published there as an ebook myself, independently. And I even went back to my old publishers. I had 2 publishers, and I bought back the licenses to my old books and then published them as ebooks on my own system. And I realized something extremely interesting there. Each new book that I wrote, so here there's a project to write a book, and the output is a product, which is the book. And the operation is the website where you sell it, and there's a support because there are always payment issues or download issues and so on. And together they create a benefit, some money in that case. What I realized was that each new book was generating benefits for me, but also each time I published a book, it was increasing the benefits of my old books by 5 to 15%, depending on the relationship between the topics. And that was really amazing. So soon I realized that whenever I'm thinking about a new book, in addition to its direct benefits, I should also think about its impact on the benefits of the old books, or even books that I may have in the future. This is also part of managing benefits. Yes, it is complicated. Yes, it is non-linear, not fully deterministic, but that's part of it. What can you do? And even that is not everything. Here, what we imagined and talked about so far was about a whole setup based on a single product. But in many cases, that's not really the case. We have more than one product working together and creating one stream of benefit together. Sometimes they are in a way that if you remove only one of them, no matter which one, benefits will be gone. So they are really working together, but still there are different products. And each of those products is created with different projects. That's another thing to take into consideration. Now, please take your time and read this paragraph. I've copied it from an article. It's from someone else, of course, not me. Someone relatively known. Then I'm going to ask your opinion about it. Think about it. Do you agree with this idea or not? So you can see this type of opinion online. Some people really talk about it. And on the surface, it's okay. It's talking about different things, and all of those things are necessary. But that's not the only thing it's saying. It's saying that it's the project manager who should do all of those things. And that's absolutely wrong. That makes project management impossible. We can never have a single person responsible for all those things. It can't happen. And it cannot happen for two reasons. One is that each of these things is a separate type of expertise. We need to learn a lot and then experiment a lot in order to be able to do any one of these things. But all of those things together, I don't know if it's possible. We even have difficulty. If you have ever tried to hire someone, you know how difficult it is to find a person who's good in one of these things. Just imagine finding a person who's good in all of them. That's one problem. And it also expands to the way the person works and their mindset. You need to work in a different way, with a different mindset for some of these that are, for example, hands-on and detailed, and in a different way, for example, when you're working with benefits. And that brings us to the second problem, which is about perspective. For example, imagine benefits. Here, benefits are considered something that should be directly managed by project managers, which is not possible. We saw before that benefits management is about a lot of things. A single project is only one of the many things that impact benefits. We cannot manage benefits up here with someone who's here, because it depends on the interactions between different services, which are under impact from different products, and a single project has control over a subset of the life cycle of a single product. So that doesn't make any sense. And that's one problem. And the other problem is that for projects, in order to do it properly, the project management things, which is coordination, facilitation, conflict resolution, and so on, you have to be really close to the work. You have to be with the people. That's necessary. You can't do it from far away. But in order to do benefits management properly, you have to be far away from the work, because you don't want to be misled by the details. You need to have the big picture. You have to see all the products and all the services at the same time, only in high level, in order to be able to do it properly. And a single person cannot be close to the work and far away from the work at the same time. That's why it's not possible to expect all of those things from a single project manager. What's the solution, you may ask? Well, the solution is something we've always had, and it's about having multiple layers of management. Each of those layers works with a different thing. They have different types of people with different knowledge and experience working in them. If we want to push all of those things to the project management, we make it just impossible. They just give up, those people. You see that there will be more burnouts, and people just give up on learning. But here we divide it into three different layers. Portfolio management is dealing with benefits with a really high level but holistic perspective. And then we have program management optionally, which is about outcomes. And then project management, which is all about products. And they work together in order to generate benefits. And optionally, we can imagine more layers of management. In OMIMO, for example, we have 2 more layers of management. One layer below project management, we have technical management. That's about team leaders. And on the very bottom, we have personal task management. That's where each person needs to have their own way of dealing with their personal work. Not personal work, but the work, individual work they do for the projects, for the products. And the good thing is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There have been many people, not for 10 years or 20 years, for hundreds of years, who have experience doing these things, and many of those experiences are documented. Some of those people have contributed directly, and some of them through the writings they've left, and that has led into creating different systems in each of these layers. Those are the systems you can start by using. You don't have to make all the mistakes that the other people have done before. And you will get to your results faster. And the main thing here is to make sure that you're covering all the layers. Project management is not enough, but it's necessary. Other than project management, you must have proper portfolio management in your organization. You may need program management. You also need to pay attention to the other 2 layers. You may know many of these modules, and one of the things is that many of them can work together. For example, ICB. It's about the competencies you need to have in project management, program management, or portfolio management. So that's something you can combine, and it makes a lot of sense to combine with your project management method like P3 Express or PRINCE2 or DSTM. The other thing is the PMBOK guide or ESO or APMBOK or PMS squared, which are all like guides. They are like toolboxes that give you many different types of advice on how to take care of different things. You can also combine them with your method, like P3 Express or PRINCE2. And then these that are highlighted are the modules from OMIMO. And OMIMO stands for Open Minimalist Modules. All of them are modules for this ecosystem. P3 Express is for project management. Micro P3 Express is for managing micro projects with only a few people. NUP is nearly universal principles of projects. And then in the layers above, we have P5 Express for portfolio management, and P4 Express will be published later, will be prepared later for program management. And all of these modules have some properties that can help you. All of them are minimalist, meaning that they are focused on the essentials. They don't want to be cluttered. They don't want to be too complex. They want to be realistic. Their minimalism makes it easier to learn, to use, and to teach it to others, to tell others how it works, to tell your team members, to your customer, to managers, and so on. All of them are non-proprietary. They are libre. They are like open source for software. You have all the freedoms. You can do whatever you want. You can create your own system based on them without copyright issues. And they are all with modern concerns. And that's important. They pay a lot of attention to freedoms, to ethical aspects. And I can tell you like this. In this system, we believe that each project has 2 outputs. One is the product that everyone is talking about, and the other output is the social and ethical footprint. That's something else that will remain there. It's an impact on our society based on what we've done, and also on individuals. maybe in your project, you could inspire someone to become a really good expert in the future. Or maybe you abused someone and you've hurt that person forever, which is horrible. We have to pay attention to these things because within the boundaries of the project, we are a small society, we are working together, and like every society, we can have issues. We need to be careful about it. And this is a responsibility of the project manager according to OMIMO. We have to be careful about those things. So that's it about OMIMO. And Potifop, who's organizing this webinar, is a training provider, accredited training provider for OMIMO modules, especially P3 Express for project management. And if you're interested, you can go to Potifop for training, or you can also do self-study if you want. I am done, and I think we have time for questions now.
Yes, thank you, Nader. We actually have 2 questions, so let me ask them in the order in which they arrived. First question is, can you cite a real use case, multiple products integrated into the project lifecycle to provide benefit? So once more, can you cite a real use case, multiple products integrated into project lifecycle to provide benefit or benefits?
Project lifecycle is smaller than the product lifecycle. Let me go back here. So we are talking about here, for example. The smallest thing here is the project lifecycle. A single product is the life cycle of a single product is bigger than a single project, and the service is bigger than the product. An example for multiple products working together. So, for example, you are an ISP. You need to have a product for customer relationship management, another product for accounting, and another product for managing bandwidth you give to different users. All of them work together to create one service, which is offering internet connection to your people. There are actually many of them. It's a very common thing. It may be more common than having a single product delivering a service. Okay, Stefan, back to you.
Good. Next question. Hello, may I ask how does ITIL enter your P5 schema?
How does ITIL enters P5 Express for portfolio management?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to ask the difficult questions now. Okay. So portfolio management is about the benefits we generate based on our investments. And to do that, we select and resource different projects and programs. That's what portfolio management is, P5 Express or otherwise. ITIL is for IT service management, and it has the interfaces with project management, also with portfolio management, but it has a lot to do with the operations of the elements we create here. In these layers, we don't have anything to do with operations. That's what we cover in something like ITIL, which is absolutely 100% outside my domain. As I told you before, there are so many things here, we really can't know all of them very well. So ITIL is what's primarily about that part, about operating these things and making sense out of these things and generating the benefits. And here in these layers, we are creating the potentials for that thing that is over there. Although the other thing to consider is that ITIL is primarily created for a certain type of services, but these things here are usually created to be used in any type of organization. I think I covered everything I wanted to say, but if you come back to me in a few days, I may be able to give a better answer.
Okay, maybe I can add something because
Sure.
I know a bit about ITIL. I used to be an ITIL approved trainer for some years. So ITIL, very long time when it was created, it was just for IT services. Actually, the name originally was IT Infrastructure Library, isn't anymore. But it still has an IT feel to it. And until the third version of ITIL included, it was really just about IT service management. There was a philosophy shift with ITIL 4 when they started to talk about IT-enabled services. And today,
All
practically all services are IT-enabled in one way or the other. So they significantly expanded the scope of ITIL. Until then, it covered just one part of service management, the one related to IT. Now it's more or less about all the service management. And I understand why you're asking these questions because some companies still struggle with it. And I even met some clients who were on ITIL 3 or even ITIL 2, and they saw ITIL 4 and they didn't like it because it was very different from what they knew. And they said, I quote one customer, "This is just some management fluffy stuff. This is not about IT anymore."
I can imagine, yeah. In the past, ITIL used to be very specific to that type of company. Okay, perfect.
So thank you, Nader, very much. I didn't introduce Nader in the beginning because I assumed everyone read the introduction of all the speakers in the invitations, but I have to say that Nader is one of the authors of P3 Express. He doesn't like to hear it, but he's the lead author, right? Nader is too modest to admit that, but
it's complicated. No, it's a community-based effort. There are many people involved.
Yeah. So Nader is quite a famous person, and I'm glad that he was able to join us today.